Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inspiring Careers. My name is Dan Johnson and I'm here today with another fantastic guest. His name is Richard Mansfield and he's got over 12 years experience as a dermatology sales specialist within the pharma industry. What are you most passionate about in your role when it comes to sales and pharma sales, maybe even dermatology? What is it that really gives you that kind of drive in this role?
I think what I enjoy about the role is the interaction with the people. I mean, it all sounds very cliched, but when you get to work with somebody and you understand what it is they're trying to achieve, and you've got products that can help them do that, I get a real buzz when you can align what you want and what they want together. And it's, you talk to anybody in sales, they'll always say win-win, or more recently somebody said win-win squared, which is obviously a win for you, a win for me, and a win for the customer, the patient. So the customer will be the person you're selling to, but don't forget who the end game is always going to be the patient at the end of the day. So if you're helping them help their patient, it's win-win squared.
What would you say have been or that you believe are your top three success secrets when it comes to being successful in this particular field, in this position?
Stay motivated and keep going. So set yourself the goals that you want to achieve and that you think are important, and make sure you achieve them for you. Okay, so that would be the first one. Second one would be fish where fish are. Go where the business is. There's no point working an account that's only going to give you 2 or 3 scripts if you've got an account next door that will give you hundreds and hundreds of scripts. That's where you want to be working, if at all possible. And the last key point would be to dot your I's and cross your T's. So it's all well and good to be focused on, yes, I'm going to get the business here, but if you're not doing your admin and if you're not doing what you need to do on a day-to-day basis, then you're going to lose points on there. You need to look at exactly where the points are coming from and dot your I's and cross your T's. You have to have tenacity. People always talk about tenacity. And you have to have the motivation to keep yourself going. Otherwise, you're just going to lose faith and then just stop doing what you need to do. And of course, you need to work smart. Yep. So obviously, when people talk to you from management, they'll say, "Okay, you need to do this, you need to do this." You need to look for exactly what it is they're asking you for. So they will have, if it's an award, internal award, they will have specific criteria. So look at the specific criteria. What is it that they actually want you to do? Okay, because there's no use flogging yourself to death doing this, what you think is really important, and it may well be important, but if that's not what the company is asking you for, you're not going to get the points for that. Early on with the awards that I won near the start of my career, I think they were more about tenacity than probably much else, to be honest, because I just kept going around speaking to farmers, and even when I was thinking, right, I've done enough now, I'll just see one more person, I'll just see another person in that area, before leaving that area. I'd just go and see another pharmacist, have one more conversation, and it was always that mentality of just one more, because I always used to think, well, what else would other reps be doing? I'm sure they'll be doing the same as me. I'll just do one more, even though I'm tired, because maybe that person down south or wherever they'll go, I'm tired, I'm going to go home. So I always used to try and play mind games with myself. So in my earlier career, we didn't have a lot of the data that I had later on, so it wasn't quite as focused, but I knew generally where the business was. So I would just go around all the big surgeries, I would speak to all the pharmacies, and I was able to drive the business through doing that. And I think it was having that tenacity and just making myself, pushing myself to keep going, along with everything else that really helped me win the awards to start with.
What was your kind of response to when people said no, to the rejection? How would you keep yourself going? How would you respond to that?
It's a bit like, the analogy where people talk about an onion and different layers of the onion, is that they're saying no to a rep who's come to see them. But they don't know me. They're not rejecting me, because how could they possibly know me? So I would always take myself out of the equation. So I am me, but in this job that I'm doing, this is just a role. This is just a facade. I'm just a smiley, faceless sales rep. And so you have to try and remind yourself not to take it personally. And that's difficult to do. But I always used to, I found that just by talking to my colleagues, and it's almost like therapy. you're talking to everybody else, and and you can share the experiences. You don't have to suffer in silence. So that's how you kind of overcome it, really. You just sort of keep saying, okay, well, they've said no, but that doesn't mean no forever, and that doesn't mean that they're saying no to me. It's just they're saying no to a rep in this instance, and so sometimes there's always a workaround.
What have you felt was kind of your eureka moment in your career? When did things start to really click and say the awards came through, or kind of your most successful sales were starting to occur?
I think it was early on in my career, actually, when I'd only been working maybe about 2 or 3 years, and there was an article came out from the Drugs and Therapeutic Bulletin, which sounds a bit technical, but it wasn't really, because what I realized is when you get something through that's from a powerful body like the Drugs and Therapeutic Bulletin, and it's something that's respected by peers, and then you talk to people about that, it puts real weight behind your argument, whatever your argument may be. So for me, it was a real eureka moment to realize that if you can get something like that behind you when you're going in to see people, and you can speak to pharmacists about that, then the pharmacists will go away and fight your corner for you. And I think that the reason I won the awards I did initially was obviously doing what I said before, but it was having key pieces of information and data and from a respected source that you could utilize and that they could take away, because quite often they'd say, "Oh, can I have a look at that?" And then if you've got a copy to give them a copy. Great. If you can use something that's powerful, like something from a body like I said, the Drugs and Therapeutic Bulletin, then that will help your cause no end. My market share when I used this, to tell you the story, I got this document from the Drugs and Therapeutic Bulletin, and I went around talking to pretty much anybody who would listen about this, because it was saying everything that we were saying. It was saying, don't use this drug because it's really bad. Use this drug, it's okay. And it named our drug at the time, which was okay, but it was basically saying, don't use this other drug, which was our main competitor. So it was doing my job for me. So I was going around with this document and saying, hey, have you seen this? And as well as me talking about my arguments for my product, people were going, oh, right, okay, this is really serious stuff. And then my sales just went through the roof. And I had about 5 products at the time, but the one main product went through the roof. And that I won the Elite Awards about 2 years running, probably on the back of that alone, to be honest.
So what's been the toughest problem that you've ever faced in your career, and how did you overcome that?
The toughest problem that any rep will ever tell you is access. And that is the bane of any rep's life. So I would say access is probably more often than not the problem you've got, because if you can get it in front of people, then everyone's got good arguments, you've got good data. You can have a good conversation around why they should be using your drug or why they should be using your therapy. But if you can't get in front of them, then that's the real problem that you've got. One way that I overcame that was to set up education. Right. And so I used to run a lot of education, both internally in terms of surgeries or hospitals, but also I would set up education, like an educational platform that would run maybe in a hotel, but hotels tend to be expensive. I would try to get the NHS to allow me to use their facilities, and then once you're using their facilities, it doesn't cost you the money that it would cost you if you're hiring a room. So and I would work collaboratively with other reps, so you would share budget. So you would share budget, and with different companies, you would use an NHS facility, so you're not paying for that, and then the only cost you've got is your speaker. And you might have, our company, we had nurses that worked for the company, so that we could use them. So that was a great way of accessing people. It was a great way of using peer-to-peer endorsement to get the doctors to buy in. And you want the doctors to go into like a learning frame of mind. Once you get them to switch into that learning frame of mind, then they absorb the information. If you're just talking to them saying, you need to do this, you need to do this, they're just like you or me. If somebody's trying to sell you something, your defenses go up, you switch off. But if it's somebody saying, oh, and I do this, and in my practice, and if it's somebody they respect, they go, oh, right, okay. And all of a sudden, the defenses come down, they absorb the information. And if you're there providing, okay, you might be talking about your products in a separate room, but they've gone there in a learning frame of mind, and because you're providing that service to them, I think they're much more open to conversations with the industry. Plus, there's usually food there, so they're in a good mood. And
yeah, of course.
So those kind of educational platforms, I think, really worked, and I would stand by that, definitely.
What do you see that is holding people back from being successful? I know we've spoken a lot about not trying to work alone, but is there anything else that you think holds people back from being truly successful in a sales position within pharma?
I think that sometimes what holds people back is they're too keen to blind people with science, and I think they want to talk about anything and everything. And I think that when you do that, people switch off. So I think it's key. I mean, this is going back to your classic sales training, really. But I think that find the need behind the need. So speak to the doctor you're speaking to. And they say, it's too expensive. Oh, well, why is it too expensive? Oh, well, because I'm trying to save money here. And why are you trying to save money? Oh, well, because actually we've been penalised by the CCG because we're spending too much. If you could understand them more, and then you can say, right, okay, well, actually, then it might be relevant to the data you've got. Tailor it. And I think that the trouble that some reps have is they go in and they're told to go through every page of the detail aid or every slide on the iPad of the detail aid. And I think that it's a trap that you shouldn't fall into. Build that relationship, because first and foremost, they're going to buy from you. A person buys from a person. If you just go in and just launch at them, they're not going to listen to what you're saying. You need to be a bit more tailored in what you're talking to them about. Use the appropriate information, and then maybe give them something that they could, leave it with them, and they can have a look at it over time. And then thank you for your time, doctor. I hope that's useful. Set the agenda. We're going to hopefully talk to you about this and this. If that's okay, yes, that's okay. And then talk to them, find out what they want, then bring in the iPad or the detail aid or whatever it might be, and don't hit them on the head with it. Just use the relevant page.
Okay, so the final question for today's episode: what is the final piece of advice that you would give to anyone here who's watching, who does your job?
I think the best bit of advice is not to panic. When you go and see somebody, take a few breaths before you go in. Calm your mind. Know what it is you're going to go and say to them, and do your homework. So if you know what they're prescribing and what they're already doing, you're already forearmed. So if you're going in there blind, then you're already at a disadvantage. So if you can find out what it is they're doing, and then calm yourself, it all helps to calm you, and then you can have that one-to-one conversation. I mean, you said before about confidence to ask somebody the questions and find out what they're doing. If you know a little bit about what they do, and if you've taken a few breaths, and somebody once told me you should always do your hips in a figure 8 shape. I don't know if you can do that in the waiting room or something, but if you can do that, it helps to centralize and to calm you. It's some kind of mind trick, I'm sure it is. But if you can go in calm and not flustered, then you can have a much better conversation with somebody, especially if you know roughly what it is they're doing and where it is if they've got something on their website that say they're interested in doing this and this. It means you can have a much better conversation with your customer when you go to see them. So yeah, be prepared.
Listen, Richard, this has been an absolutely fantastic interview. Thank you so much for all the information you've shared today. I really do appreciate it. Richard, if anyone wants to ask you any questions about what they've listened to today, are they more than welcome to connect with you on LinkedIn and drop me a message? Would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Cool. So if there's anything you've seen today and you want to ask Richard a bit further, do get in touch with him over LinkedIn. Send him a connect invite. Just mention that you saw him on Inspiring Careers. And likewise, if you've got any questions for myself, you can ping them my way and I can forward them on to Richard himself. Once again, thank you very much, Richard. Anyone watching, please do like, subscribe, share, tweet. Please do feel free to share this video out there, and I look forward to seeing everyone again on the next episode of Inspiring Careers. Talk soon.